Every inmate has a story, but one man's truth will change how you see justice. The story begins in Greystone Penitentiary, one of America's most notorious maximum security prisons. Built in 1947, it's a maze of concrete and memory, a place where even time feels trapped. Inmates call it the pit. No sunlight, no silence, just survival. You don't come to Greystone to do time, you come here to disappear. Among the hundreds of inmates locked inside, there's one name whispered through the halls: Elias Carter, a former paramedic convicted of murdering a police officer, sentenced to life without parole. Only thing is, every piece of evidence says he's guilty. Every witness testified against him. But Elias? He never changed his story. "I didn't kill him," he said. "I tried to save him." For years, no one believed him. Not the cops, not the courts, not even his own family. Until a prison journalist, Mara Lin, a volunteer who runs a podcast from inside, started digging. The reporter, Mara Lin, wasn't supposed to be there. She wasn't a cop, not a lawyer, not even a full-time journalist, just a voice with a mic, looking for stories that mattered. She believed in redemption. But in a place like Greystone, redemption was a luxury. "At first, I thought Elias was just another manipulator," she said. "They all claim innocence, but then something he said made me stop recording." Mara leans closer to her recorder. "He told me, 'Check the time of death.'" Those 5 words changed everything. Because according to the autopsy report, the officer died at 8:42 p.m. But the 911 call Elias made, pleading for an ambulance, was logged at 8:31. That meant the victim was still alive when Elias called for help. So why did they call it murder? The investigation begins. The deeper Mara dug, the more the story didn't add up. Body cam footage had been lost, radio log, SIM misfiled. A key witness, an off-duty cop who first arrived at the scene, had mysteriously transferred out of state. And the lead detective? A man with a spotless record. And a reputation for closing cases fast. Too fast. In Greystone, Mara says, truth isn't hidden behind bars, it's buried beneath paperwork. But reopening a case like this wasn't just journalism. It was dangerous. For Mara, for Elias, and for anyone who got too close. Because someone didn't want the truth coming out. Inside the walls, Elias had been in solitary confinement for months. No visitors, no calls, no light. But word travels faster than guards do. And somehow, other inmates knew a journalist was sniffing around his case. When the cameras leave, this place becomes its own court, Mara narrates. And inside, they deliver their own kind of justice. Inmates start whispering. They frame the medic. He knows something. They'll never let him out alive. Tension spreads like wildfire. Even the guards seem nervous. And that's when the first accident happens. A fire in the storage wing, just 2 cells down from Elias's block. Official report, electrical fault. Reality, someone tried to silence him. The secret file. One night, Mara receives an anonymous package. No return address. Inside, a flash drive. A single folder labeled Carter, Internal Affairs. She hesitates, then opens it. What she finds inside will rewrite everything. There's body cam footage, not the one police said was lost, but the real version, time-stamped and unedited. In it, you see Elias, hands covered in blood, pressing on the officer's wound, shouting, "Stay with me! You're gonna be okay!" You hear the sirens, the chaos, the confusion, and then a second voice, another officer, shouting, "He did it! He shot him!" But no gun is ever shown in Elias's hands, no weapon found on him, and the angle of the wound doesn't match his position at all. That's when Mara realizes this wasn't just about one wrongful conviction, it was about a cover-up. The walls begin to whisper, leaked truth. Word travels faster in prison than it ever does outside. One rumor, one whisper, and suddenly everyone knows. The footage Mara found, it wasn't supposed to exist, but somehow a copy of that file ends up on the dark web. By morning, a dozen inmates know the story of Elias Carter. By lunch, the guards know. By night, the warden knows. And by sunrise, Mara Lin's podcast, Voices from the Inside, has exploded online. Clips of her interviews go viral. He called for help before they said he killed him. He wasn't running. He was saving a man's life. The public demands answers. But inside Greystone, that kind of attention can get you killed. Inmates crave fame, says a guard. But in here, too much spotlight burns you alive. The warden's warning, the warden of Greystone, Harold Brinks, is a man built from stone and silence. 30 years behind these walls, never flinched once. He calls Mara into his office, a small space lined with photos of fallen officers and framed commendations. "You're making a mistake," he says. "You think you're saving an innocent man, but you're stirring up ghosts that don't rest easy." Mara stays calm. "Then maybe it's time they do." He leans forward. "You don't know what really happened that night, Miss Lin, and if you keep digging, you won't make it out of these gates either." Mara leaves without answering. But the look in her eyes says everything. She's not backing down. The prison divide. Inside Greystone, prisoners start forming sides. Some believe Elias is a hero, a man wronged by the system. Others think he's a snitch, working with the journalist to expose the guards. In a place ruled by respect and fear, even truth becomes a weapon. "Justice," Elias says in a rare interview, "don't live here. Only power does." The tension hits its breaking point in the cafeteria. A rival inmate, known as Dante Switchblade Myers, confronts Elias. "You bringing heat in here, medic," he sneers. "You gonna get everyone burned." Elias doesn't respond. He just stares, quiet, unflinching, then walks away. That night, Switchblade is found unconscious, beaten so badly he can't speak. No one talks, but every guard looks at Elias like they already know who to blame, the inside source. Mara's next lead comes from an unexpected place, a guard named Reyes. He's young, too young for this place, and visibly nervous. He meets Mara in the chapel, away from cameras. "You're right," he whispers. "That footage wasn't supposed to leak. Internal Affairs was supposed to bury it." "Why?" Mara asks. "Because the officer who died, he wasn't supposed to be there." Reyes hands her a file. Inside are handwritten notes from the night of the shooting. At the bottom, a name appears. Detective Randall Brinks, the warden's son. Suddenly, everything makes sense. The man Elias allegedly killed was shot during an off-book police operation. And the detective leading it, the one who pushed the case against Elias, was the warden's own son, the setup. The truth hits like a hammer. Elias wasn't supposed to be there that night. He was responding to a 911 call, a domestic disturbance that had already gone bad. He found two men struggling with a gun. The officer, young, scared, undercover, was hit by friendly fire, but the real shooter walked away clean. And to keep the department's name clear, they needed someone to take the fall. So they picked the medic, Mara says, because he couldn't fight back. The city got closure. The department got peace. The warden got to protect his son, and Elias Carter got life without parole. Retribution. Once the truth starts spreading among inmates, chaos erupts. Some see Elias as a symbol, proof that the system's built to crush the wrong man. Others see him as the reason lockdown's been extended for weeks. A riot breaks out in Cell Block D. Guards in full armor storm in, tear gas flooding the air. Mara watches from behind reinforced glass, recording everything. "This is what happens when truth collides with control," she narrates. And no one, not even the innocent, walks away clean. In the chaos, Elias disappears. His cell, empty. No signs of a struggle. No body. Just one thing left behind on his bunk. A small paramedic badge, stained in red ink. Gone. For 2 days, the prison goes silent. No word from Elias. The warden orders a full lockdown. Mara's access is revoked. But at 3:07 a.m., her phone rings. A blocked number, she answers, static. Then a faint voice. "You were right, but there's more." She recognizes it. Elias. "Where are you?" she whispers. Then, a gunshot echoes through the line. The call drops. Mara freezes. And just like that, the man whose truth could change everything is gone. The man who vanished, the investigation shuts down. The day after Elias's disappearance, Greystone feels colder. Metal doors slam harder, Guards walk faster. Eyes watch longer. The official statement says, "Inmate Elias Carter escaped during a riot." But Mara knows that's impossible. No one escapes Greystone, not alive. She checks the surveillance tapes, every second of the riot footage. But there's a gap, a full 17 minutes missing from the timestamp between 9:12 and 9:29 p.m. When she confronts the control room supervisor, he shrugs. "System glitch," he says. "Happens all the time. But nothing glitches in a place like Greystone, not without someone's help." The hidden corridor. Desperate, Mara sneaks into the old wing, a section of the prison closed for renovation years ago. Rust stains the walls. Cells are half demolished, doors hanging open like broken teeth. She moves quietly, flashlight trembling in her hand. Then, something catches her eye, a blood smear on the floor leading toward a sealed door. Behind it, a narrow corridor lined with storage crates, camera cables, and old evidence boxes. Inside one of the boxes, files labeled IA-47C, Carter Case Suppression Order. She flips through the pages. Her breath quickens. The order to bury the footage came from Internal Affairs, signed off by the Department of Corrections and co-signed by the Warden himself. But that's not what stops her. At the bottom of the file is a transfer form dated yesterday. Recipient: Federal Witness Protection, alias Samuel Vance, and attached is Elias's photo. The ghost prisoner, Elias Carter, didn't die. He was extracted, not escaped, not killed. Removed. His identity wiped, his record sealed. Because the state couldn't risk a wrongful conviction that implicated law enforcement, especially not one that pointed back to the warden's son. They buried him twice, Mara whispers. Once in court, once in silence. But someone left a trace, the call, the badge, the file. Almost like Elias wanted her to find the truth, the whistleblower. Mara publishes what she knows. The podcast episode drops at midnight. Title: The Ghost Prisoner of Greystone. It goes viral in hours. Millions of views, headlines everywhere. Paramedic framed by police. Missing inmate may be alive. Greystone scandal. Cover-up in plain sight. Protests erupt outside the prison gates. Families of other inmates demand reviews. But inside, Mara's name is now on every wall, scrawled in ink and hate. She's banned from visiting. Her credentials revoked. Still, she doesn't stop. She's already received one message from a burner phone. "You're closer than you think." Attached is a photo. Grainy, low light, shot through a car windshield. It's Elias, alive, standing outside a rural motel somewhere off Highway the Motel. Mara drives through the night, alone, paranoid, headlights cutting through the fog. She finds the motel, run down, half vacant, buzzing neon sign flickering no VACNCY. She knocks on room 12. No answer. She knocks again. From inside, the faint sound of running water. Then the door creaks open. Elias Carter stands there, alive, gaunt, hollow-eyed, but breathing. "You shouldn't have come," he says. "They said you were dead," Mara whispers. "I was," he replies, "until I realized death's the only way they let you walk free." He explains everything. The night of the riot, he was smuggled out under orders. Federal agents offered him a deal: disappear, change his identity, stay silent, in exchange for safety. "They didn't save me," he says. "They buried me in a different name, the choice." Elias tells Mara he's ready to tell the world. But before she can record, a black SUV pulls into the parking lot. He freezes. "They found me." Lights cut through the curtains. Doors slam. Men in suits step out, guns drawn. Elias grabs Mara's recorder and presses it into her hand. "If they silence me, don't let the story die," he says. She hides behind the bathroom door as the room bursts open, shouting, chaos, a single gunshot, then silence. When Mara steps out, the room is empty. No Elias, no agents. Just the recorder, still blinking red, and a single phrase echoing in the playback. Justice doesn't live in courtrooms anymore. It lives in whoever's brave enough to speak, the legacy. Weeks later, Mara's final episode airs. It's not about crime anymore, it's about conscience. She plays Elias's final recording, the one he left for her. It spreads across the world like wildfire. Lawmakers open investigations. Prosecutors resign. The warden quietly retires. But Elias Carter? Never seen again. Some say he's in another country. Others say he's dead. But Mara believes something else. Some men die heroes, some die villains, and some, they live between both, reminding us what justice really costs. Fade out, the final truth. Every inmate here has a story, but only one man's truth forced the world to look in the mirror. And what it saw wasn't justice. It was fear, corruption, and the price of silence. The prison stands motionless, gray against the bleeding dawn. A single echoing door slams shut, and somewhere out there, a man once known as Elias Carter walks free, nameless, forgotten, but unbroken. Fade to black, the price of silence. In every prison, there are stories that never reach the light. Some are confessions, some are lies, and some are truths so dangerous that they have to be buried to keep the world quiet. Cut to slow-motion shots. Razor wire glinting under sunrise. A cell door swinging open to an empty room. A recorder blinking red. The sound of breathing, then static. Elias Carter was one man in a system built to crush many. A medic who tried to save a life and lost his own freedom instead. But through one voice, one recording, one act of defiance, his truth survived. Maybe justice isn't about the verdict. Maybe it's about the courage to speak, even when nobody wants to hear.